What's up, y'all? Back with another video, this time on the Holy Paladin, doing a little bit of solo shuffle. If you've been following along with the channel, you know I haven't been queuing much solo shuffle lately, but with the season coming to an end, probably in about a month and a half to 2 months, I decided I want to start pushing again and get the 2400 transmog stuff and the 2100 enchant whenever they do decide to add it in. And this was an interesting game. It was 5-1. And right here, the druid, he had good awareness. He was coming to try and eat the trap, just didn't quite make it in time. The warlock does pop his defensives, which is really good, so I get to eat the full trap. And then the evoker comes over, sleeps me off the trap, and I keep sitting here. He ports back. I go ahead and use Blessing of Protection, and the hunter gets really lucky with Trank Shot and gets it off immediately. I do notice that he had his kick available, and so that was a little risky of me not to juke right there. I am using Concentration Aura instead of Devotion Aura. And another thing about this game, even though it was 5-1, so I burned my trinket there, I could have taunted his pet. Normally I have macros to taunt the pets of hunters whenever I think they're going to trap, and I knew right there he was going for the trap, so really that's just a big misplay on my part, because I could have saved my trinket by just taunting his pet. And he does go down. The Boomkin's getting a free cast. Overall, not a terrible first round, but like I said, you can definitely tell I'm rusty just by the fact that, you know, I don't even have the... Usually I put it in the shift 3 spot where you see repentance on my bar, that whenever I am facing a hunter, I always like to have that macro on there just so I can taunt them. It helps with so much CC, especially now going versus like a Boomkin, which the hunter's on my team, so I don't have to worry about it as much. But going against a Boomkin, like if the Boomkin and the hunter were together, it could break me out of roots and stuff like that. So... And this next round, I swap to Devotion Aura because I'm not as worried about them focusing on my, or at least kicking my Warlock. The Hunter makes a really heads-up play here and interrupts the Boomkin starting CC chain right there. I do see the Mark of the Windlord, and I see my Warlock pop all his defensive, so that was a really bad Blessing of Protection on my part. It was a big overlap. Just, again, something that was... just a little rusty. Definitely shouldn't have done that. The hunter starts running down the evoker here, and now you see we get in trouble because the warlock used all his defensives. He just used health stone, so I get root beamed. I decide to burn bubble here instead of trinket because I wasn't really worried about them swapping to me, and I thought we were going to get some pressure off that. The hunter's way over there, so then I get pulled out. This whole sequence right here was just not very good at all. I really wish the hunter would have just swapped to the Boomkin since he was playing open. So now we have no trinket, no bubble. We have sack available, and the hunter is very susceptible to be killed. The warlock is very susceptible to be killed. I don't think the warlock has any defensives at this point, and he's also used healthstone. The hunter, I believe, still has turtle, so he's okay. So we do have that one Blessing of Protection, and I think here in a second when he uses, you know, Strike of the Windlord or Mark of the Windlord, whatever it's called, I do go ahead and bop because I was afraid that was going to be their go, and then they just turn around and run again, which honestly smart on their part. If we had communication, I would have just told them, hey, let's charge in, and this pretty much lost us the match right here. The hunter was trying to gung-ho push in a little bit, and then I'm trying to walk forward. I don't really want to range the warlock's port. This is just a really awkward scenario where we're not going to have any outs because I know I'm going to get root beamed. I think right here I honestly should have just pre-freedomed myself because I knew it was coming. So there's the sleep, and I'm assuming he's going to try and CC me off of it. It's like right here I should have just started to freedom myself. Yeah, here it comes. And I get root beamed, and he is going to go down. So just misplays on my part. This one could have easily been a 6-0. I just honestly played that round just bad. So this next round, again, if I could do anything differently, I would 100% change to that repentant slot on my bar to taunt, just so I can taunt the pet. Super, super helpful here. I do have the Blessing of Summer back up, which is really good. It's a big damage buff. I can give it to either the Warlock or the Windwalker. It's super helpful for them because they're both burst classes, especially with him being Destro. And then the Windwalker, obviously, you know, he can burst real easily. The main thing here is going to be their opening CC chain. So I'm trying to stand with the Warlock to maybe he can eat the trap, or maybe the monk can eat the trap, and I'm trying to stand near his port. So I do get rooted here, and then the evoker actually breaks me out immediately, which was really, really good. And I went ahead and popped freedom on myself because I was afraid I was going to get root beamed. The boomkin does go ahead and swap to me because he doesn't get the root beam on me because I used the freedom to stop it. I went ahead and bubbled here. One thing I'm doing with my bubble and a lot of these solo shuffles is I just want to make sure I do use it. You don't want to leave any cooldowns on the table because solo shuffles are so short. So just make sure you're utilizing everything. Now, they could swap to me here, but it's really hard for that setup to swap to me and hold me down, especially when they're focusing the hunter like this. So Blessing Protection goes off. We still had sack. We had a couple other cooldowns, so I think we were okay there, even though it looked a little scary. So we get the second win there, and honestly, that was probably one of the tougher ones to win because this Boomkin was the highest rated player in the lobby, and if he can set up these full CC chains on me, I think that's going to be the way that they win. Boomkin Windwalker. This one, honestly, this one should just be a win, especially if I play correctly. Like I think we have just enough control, and they can retreat and run back. We should be able to kill this Warlock. I don't actually remember what happens here, so I'm running away, and I'm gonna dispel him. There, he misses his trap. The Boomkin's coming back with me. He's got pretty good awareness. He throws the trap out again. I thought about using my sack just so I can break it and put myself on DR, but I decided not to do that. So he does get that trap, which I thought was this one, the root trap. I freed him myself, and the monk sets his port over there, and I don't know if he set it on the Warlock's port, but I wasn't sure about that because then we just get pulled into this really weird position here. But it ends up being okay. I do hodge the Warlock offensively just because we're starting to get pressure here. I'm going to bop him because the Hunter used his Death Chakram and all that stuff. So honestly, I was wanting to use Blessing of Protection right when he did it, but that ended up being okay. Beast Mastery is kind of all about stacking Death Chakram and then that one bleed ability, and then when you have your other stacks and you just alternate with Kill Command and Barb Shot. And so I'm trying to watch every single time he's using the Death Chakram is when I think he's going to do his burst. Like he's going to use Bestial Wrath and then Barb Shot, Kill Command, Barb Shot, Kill Command. I honestly thought this one was going to be the toughest one to win, just because they should have plenty of CC to be able to lock me down. The Hunter's waiting. Right now we're just basically having a 2v3. We also don't have an offensive dispel, so it's really hard to get Nullifying Shroud off. I do get cloned. There's the Root Beam, so that one was tougher. I went ahead and trinketed that. Honestly, questionable trinket. I wanted to trinket a full CC and try and get it lined up as close as I could with his Root Beam, so my trinket would come back up if I had to bubble like the second one. So right here we're getting split. I get a full moon proc on me. I do sack him, and I decide to bubble just so we can play offensive, and it ends up working out okay. He incaps, it breaks instantly. I'm just trying to keep this monk alive. I honestly don't know if he has karma at this point. I remember thinking that like in the match. I hadn't seen him karma. It looks like we've fully stabilized here though. There's the Spirit Bloom. I'm rooted. Fat fingered. Blinding Light. So that was really bad, but I wasn't going to be able to move in for it anyway, but it ended up being okay. That was a funny Blinding Light. He's rooted over there. We're getting a little bit split here. It's getting a little bit sketchy. He sacks himself. That was a good sack by the hunter. Like, really, really good sack. I have no bubble, but it's still okay. Their team is like all over the place. Like, they don't know whether they want to CC me. The warlock's trying to kill me. Like, we're pulling back, and the monk's still out there. He's out in the open. I don't know if he has karma. We'll find out here in just a second. I'm assuming he would press it. I'm gonna try and get around the corner here. Yep. I'm just gonna LOS. We still have sack up, so I can always save him. But, well, and then the warlock goes down. So that's one thing about Paladin is when you play ultimate sack, you can always save your teammates. So you just have to be really mindful about, you know, I didn't have bubble there. He might have been, you know, at 50% HP, but I can pop around the corner and ultimate sack and save him at 1%, as long as I have health. All right, and this is the last round. Honestly, don't remember much about this one. I just remember thinking that we should be able to win it. Having Blessing of Protection versus the monk and them not having an offensive dispel is just absolutely huge. That means I can negate one of their DPS by myself whenever I choose, and they, I mean, essentially can't do anything about it. So really, really big for us. He has Nullifying Shroud up, so I'm just going to stay mounted. And I'm assuming he's going to want to push in because he does have Nullifying Shroud up. He does. So again, both my DPS are stealth, so I'm just going to stay mounted. There's no sense in me fighting. The Warlock's probably going to want to hit me here. He does. So they're hitting me. I do use Freedom, and I'm just going to run to the pillar. If I get away here... So I am going to wall here because I was scared they were going to open on me. But it ended up being okay. The Evoker looks like he does want to hit me. They swap to the Hunter. He does use sack, which is good, and I go ahead and utilize a bop there. Just because I was scared. I didn't want him to turtle. I didn't want him to feel like he needed to turtle, so... We saved his turtle. Now we're pumping everything into the Warlock. Hunter gets the full trap, which was really good. Did end up breaking. My Boomkin gets feared. I need to dispel him, but I was a little bit slow on that one. That dispel was really slow. And then I'm trying to make my way back to the pillar. I really don't want the DPS in between me and the Evoker. I went ahead and sack here so I can stay offensive. I bubble. I just want to keep us offensive. I'm not worried about me dying at this point. The Evoker's not casting anything. I do to go to kick him at the last second, and that should be the game. And that was it. It was plus 60 rating, 5-1. Should have been a 6-0. Not bad. I'll do another push sometime this week. Hopefully go from 1938 to like 2050, and I'll just keep pushing until 2400. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, all that jazz. Thank you for showing all the love on all the videos. And yeah, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.